frankly, I think it's slightly ridiculous. Someone from a 150-year-old company like mine coming to talk to a bunch of startups about innovation, but we'll just let that pass. I've heard it said that insurance is the last bastion of the 19th century. Actually, I don't think that's true. You'd know it wasn't true. If you've ever been to the Garrick Club or met a Tory cabinet minister, you'd know that insurance is just one of the last bastions of the 19th century. The question I had a year ago is it going to change? And if it's going to change, when it's going to change? It's pretty obvious by the turnout in this room and by things like Startup Bootcamp and by, frankly, the volume of emails I get every day just having expressed a general interest in some startups, that it clearly is changing really fast. We started thinking about this seriously only maybe a year ago, perhaps even half a year ago. And the first question was, fundamentally, what is the need for change? What's going to happen? What's the problem? Actually, that's somewhat easy to answer. I think insurance as an industry is frankly a disaster. It's a disaster because the customer proposition simply doesn't work. The products are almost impossible to understand. There's no customer engagement, but I don't think we should be that surprised by that. Frankly, it's a bit boring, right? Car insurance is boring. For me, what's more important is the fact that car insurance is almost unintelligible to the average reasonably intelligent person, and that doesn't need to be so. My favourite example, actually, having recently smashed my mobile phone, is mobile phone insurance. I smashed my mobile phone on an aeroplane, and it was my work phone. I was a little bit unsure if that meant it was a travel insurance claim, or did I claim against the airline, or did I claim on my employer's liability insurance. So I did a bit of Googling and to find out how my mobile phone actually is covered. I think I actually am covered from my travel insurance if I'm abroad on work. I may be covered by my travel insurance if I'm abroad at home, if I've read the small print, which I haven't. I can't even find it. I'm probably covered by gadget insurance because I've got one of those rip-off package bank accounts that normally cover mobile phone gadget insurance, but I suspect that wouldn't pay out. In my house, there's certainly a possibility that it may be covered. There are 3 types of home insurance policies. There are ones that don't cover your mobile phone. There are ones that do cover your mobile phone, and the ones that only cover your mobile phone if something else goes wrong, like there's a big flood. I don't know which kind mine is. I'm actually in the industry, but my policy's in a box somewhere. Probably it doesn't pay out if I lose my mobile phone in a car. If my car is stolen, then it probably does pay. If my phone is stolen from my car, it probably doesn't pay. Unless my car's abroad. If I've taken my car abroad, then my travel insurance pays. If my car is in somebody else's garage, then it doesn't pay unless I can get it on their home insurance. Unless, of course, I've got the garage from the garage attached to a flat that I borrowed on Airbnb, then it doesn't pay. I think. So it's complicated. We have lots of products. Most of our products have got some hard coding. Somebody 35 years ago coded an insurance policy, probably into COBOL, and all insurance policies were 1 year long, so the number 12 is coded into 27 million lines of COBOL code. That's never going to change, so we'll never have anything but 12-month policies, at least in the traditional insurance world that I come from. And of course we have to ask for vast amounts of information, partly because that's what we always do, it's what makes us feel good. Partly because when we get information about one thing, we can only get it from one source. We have to ask you, it's too complicated to sort of scrape it from your Facebook or do anything else that every other company does. And partly, once we've got it for one product, we've got absolutely no way of transferring that across to another product. Literally, most insurers have a single customer view, which is a sort of thin layer attached on top of all of their legacy systems, which shows some of the information that they should have and that their systems should share. But all those single customer views are simply views. So the product, I think, the proposition is entirely broken, and it should change. But it's a hard problem. Why did fintech start before insurance tech? Because fintech is easy. If you've come into this world thinking that it's better to get into insurance tech now because the fintech space is really crowded, then I have to say to you, I think maybe you've made a mistake, because fintech really is very easy. Fintech solves essentially three problems. The first problem is aggregation. I really like the startup pitch about aggregating your pensions policies. That's the easy end of insurance. Try and aggregate your insurance policies. Well, what are you going to aggregate? What variables do you care about? You could just care about when my mobile phone's covered, but it took me 5 minutes to explain what might be happening. So try and get that onto a screen. In bank aggregation, you have one system. All the banks work on the same platform, and you have one aggregation variable, the amount of money in your account. Nothing else matters. So the first problem in fintech is easy. The second problem is also easy. The second problem is straightforward disintermediation between depositors and lenders. It's not surprising that things like Funding Circle are attracting all our money. That's a very straightforward trade, and in the new sharing economy, blockchain, all of that stuff, that's the model that works very well, and it's very, very simple. The third problem you have is payments, and again, payments is simply a matter of trust. We use banks because they're regulated. That's our form of trust. It's a pretty crap form of trust. You can replace regulation with blockchain and you're away. And really there's nothing else in fintech. Yes, it's a crowded space, but it's also a big space, and it's really easy. Insurance tech, I think, is altogether more complicated than that. Insurance is a long-term business. No matter how sexy we all are, and I'm really enjoying wearing jeans and not having to wear a shirt and tie, but it doesn't change the fact that insurance is very long and very boring. We do need valuation actuaries and pricing actuaries and compliance guys and goodness knows what. That is the nature of our industry. Insurance is always going to be a regulated industry. I think in 15 years' time, most of banking won't be a regulated industry anymore, because you don't need regulation when you have blockchain and everything else. That replaces the trust you need in regulation. Insurance will be regulated for 100 years, I think. So the fact that insurance is long-term, is regulated, gives you the two big problems. Insurance is always going to be a legacy industry. It's always going to have legacy problems. And it's always going to be highly regulated, which means it's going to be highly local, which means global propositions that generally don't exist. So it's very hard, I think, to disrupt that industry. It's very hard to be a disruptive insurer, because a disruptive insurer is a mixture between a funky, sexy front end who are wearing jeans and a bunch of valuation guys and pricing guys and admin guys at the back end who don't wear jeans, not even on the beach. So, lest you think I'm too negative, I think there are three reasons why it must change, despite the fact it is a very hard problem. The first one is sensors. I really like that extreme biometrics as an example. We have our first VC fund in insurance tech is focused on the sensor technology space. This is for our engineering business, where if you can tell how well a machine is operating, and a machine can be almost anything, you use sensor technology, Internet of Things, and that gives us really good real-time data. And real-time data means real-time intervention, means much lower losses, which means much lower premiums. And once you're down that chain, you have a very clear model for an insurance company, and our model is to invest in that so that we can drive down the cost of insurance and get competitive advantage as a result. So I think that area is one. Once you have that slope, you have to run down that slope. Anybody who is not investing in sensor technology, who is in the insurance space, is going to lose horribly as a result, because they're going to get selected against. The second one is brand. The average large insurer spends around about $1 billion, $1 billion and a half dollars on brand. They get a lot for that $1 billion. They get prompted name awareness of around about 4%. They're very proud of 4% because their neighbouring insurer may only have 3.5%. But $1 billion just feels like kind of a lot of money. In the 1990s, you needed brand because brand is what sold. That's how we bought everything. I bought a new TV actually 3 weeks ago. My TV broke down. So in the old days, you bought TVs by just going to the shop and buying Sony. In the internet era, you went onto the internet and bought Sony. What I did this time was I went onto Amazon and I looked at Sony and I saw some comments that said the new Sony TV is apparently a bit crap. And so I clicked on that button that says other people bought this. And based on the advice of Arsenal fan 123 and a few of his mates, I bought a brand. I honestly can't remember. I was trying to. I wish I'd written it down on my crib sheet there because I can't remember what the brand was. But I suppose that's the point. The TV's good. I have no idea whether Arsenal fan 123 is a hi-fi expert. Perhaps he is. But anyway, he bought the TV and it works. My view in the world, and here's the serious point, is that brand is no longer important. Expertise is no longer important. What matters is a community of people who've experienced a product who say, this is a good product. That's how we buy now. And I think that moves insurance into an entirely different space. It means there is room for a startup player to come along with no brand, no history, and sell a few policies, have a great customer recognition, and for that to snowball incredibly fast. So that's one of my predictions, is that somebody is going to do something with no brand at all, and it's going to grow unbelievably quickly. And the third thing is technology. I mentioned the legacy problem. We're all building on legacy. When we're out talking to startups, they say it's the single biggest frustration they have with the insurance industry, that if it's too difficult as a startup to go the whole hog and build everything yourself and then go to the regulator and persuade them to give you a license and get enough capital to build the whole business, then you have to deal with the insurance industry, and then you deal with a massive legacy problem. And it's not just legacy technology, it's legacy products, it's legacy thinking, frankly. But we see this changing. Technology is becoming much more open, it's moving much more quickly. We see the next stage where of greenfield technology being built from scratch. And what you will want from your insurer is not the whole product set, the whole admin and everything else. What you want from your insurer is simply a regulated balance sheet so they can do the boring stuff. And the other thing I think that you'll want from your insurer is a bunch of people who may not be creative geniuses who wear jeans, but they can at least keep up with your thinking. So in the 150-year-old Munich Re, this is what we are now trying to build, and we're investing quite seriously into this model, which is the model in which we try and do the stuff that realistically an insurance startup who is changing the customer proposition is not going to be able to do, the quote-unquote boring stuff. And we absolutely stay out of all of the stuff that the insurance startup can and must do if they want to change the proposition. If we can make that partnership work, then I think we can act as a kind of accelerator to insurance startups. I think the time has come. I think it's no surprise that this room is absolutely packed to the rafters. I'm sure it's not just me that you came to hear. I think this is the point at which we will see the insurance industry fundamentally changed the way that the banking industry's fundamentally changed. And as someone from a big insurer who knows all of the people that run all of the big insurers, I can tell you that all of the big insurers are absolutely terrified of all of the little two-man startups that 5 years ago we would never have even bothered talking to. Not only are we talking to you now, we're also very frightened of you.